Check 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, cool. Yeah, I think we're good. So it looks like Panasonic is getting ready to drop a big announcement, specifically the S1H Mark II within the next couple of weeks, possibly even as soon as next week. And it looks like, based off of the rumored specifications, to be one of the biggest announcements this year for any camera manufacturer. It looks like the camera is going to be able to shoot up to 8K 60 frames per second, and that obviously includes the other frame rates like 8K 24, 30, 48 frames per second as well, and it's going to be able to shoot up to 4K 120. Also, 8K RAW and 6K RAW internally. Now, I believe it'll also be able to shoot ProRes RAW based off of the specifications, but one thing that wasn't mentioned in the specifications as well is Blackmagic RAW. I do think that this camera is going to be able to shoot Blackmagic RAW just based on the fact that the original S1H, the Mark I, was able to shoot Blackmagic RAW, and I think that this is going to set this camera apart from some of the other Panasonic cameras that will come out in the near future as well, like the S1 Mark II or the S1R Mark II. So I think Panasonic has a great opportunity with the S1H Mark II, considering the fact that Canon just recently dropped the price on the Canon R5C. I think that the Panasonic S1H Mark II has a couple of distinct advantages based off of the specifications, but also looking back at the original S1H Mark I think it's going to have some distinct advantages over the Canon R5C. Considering the fact that the Canon R5C has pretty poor battery life and no IBIS in it at all, I mean, if you think about it, Panasonic has the best IBIS in the game today, and it should have pretty good battery life considering it uses one of those bigger batteries, not the same battery that's in the S5 or the S5 Mark II. So this shouldn't be too much of an issue for Panasonic to be able to compete with the Canon R5C. So competitively speaking, I think if they price this at $4,000 like they did with the S1H Mark I think that they're definitely going to give Canon a run for their money. And I think anybody that's in the market for one of these higher end cameras is going to look seriously at the S1H Mark II, considering it's going to be able to shoot those frame rates in that resolution of 8K, just like the Canon R5C, but it's going to have some of those distinct features that, give it that competitive edge. So things that weren't mentioned in the rumored specifications that I think we should be able to see in this camera, hopefully, is really high frame rates in full HD. I'm not talking about 120, I'm not talking about 240 even. If you look at the Panasonic GH6, that camera was able to shoot 300 frames per second in full HD. I think that the Panasonic S1H Mark II should at minimum have 300 frames per second in full HD, if not 480. And I think Panasonic could really push the envelope with this camera. Another thing I'd love to see that wasn't mentioned in the rumored specifications, and again, I don't think that this is going to happen, but one can hope, I would love to see internal NDs in the S1H Mark II. Again, like I said, I don't think this is going to happen, but if there's a camera that probably should have internal ND filters, I think the S1H Mark II is that camera. Now, I'm not an engineer, but I would imagine that if this is something that they do include, you would have to shut off the ND filters in order to use the IBIS. Just from a physical or an engineering perspective, I don't think you could use both at the same time. But yeah, I think that that would still be an amazing feature to include in this camera, and it would really push the camera industry forward. I know that a lot of people have been talking about one day having that in a mirrorless hybrid, body style like these cameras. And if you look at the Panasonic S1H Mark I, it's a pretty big and beefy camera. So I think that this model should be able to house an ND filter. I would love to see that. Again, this is a wild speculation. I don't think we're going to see that, so don't hold it against me if it's not included, because I really don't think it's going to. But, one can hope, one can dream. Anyway, like I said, I do think that this camera is going to be priced competitively against the Canon R5C. That's the camera I think that they're gunning for with this. I do think it's also going to have some pretty capable photography features too, and considering it's got that 47 to 50 megapixel sensor based off of the specifications, I do think that it's going to give some other cameras a run for their money as well. But yeah, so anyway, I would love to know what you guys think about the potential announcement for the S1H Mark II. What would you like to see in this camera, and what do you think it means for the industry moving forward for Panasonic and for other manufacturers? Do you think the announcement seems a little close or too close to the S5 Mark II and the S5 Mark II X? Or yeah, I would just love to know your thoughts down below. And as always, thank you for checking out this video, and I'll catch you guys later.